Yo, what up, everybody? My name is Trickster Shadow, variety killer main with over 6,000 hours in the game. And today, we're going to be looking at the developer update. There's going to be a PTB that's coming out on Tuesday, which should be the 29th. Yeah, the 29th. Uh, so this is a PTB that's coming out on Tuesday, 29th for PC players for us to test out. And the developers chose to give us a little bit of like a preview of like what's going to be in the update, which is pretty nice. So this is just them talking about that they're going to be doing the update. Feel it's important to see new content play out in real scenarios before we do balance changes, and that they're going to do the PTB. And they get into the changes. The first change is the executioner change. Mr. PP Head himself. From watching Pyramid Head matches over the past few months, we've noticed a lot of players will opt to only use punishment of the damned at pallets and windows when the survivor is locked in interaction and unable to dodge. To address this and make gameplay more dynamic, we're doing two changes, which is like this alone is like, oh, okay, like yeah, of course they're gonna do it when they're at pallets and windows because like that's the best time to attack. It's the most safe time to attack. But let's see what they say. Increasing the delay after canceling Right's Judgment. So what this means is when the PP head puts his sword into the ground and then he pulls it back up, he decides not to attack. They're going to make it to where it's a longer delay, to where you're slowed down for longer, I'm assuming, and you can't attack or anything. The reason for this change is to add a downside to canceling his power at each pallet and window. Currently, the survivor is left two choices: vault and get hit, or continue running and get hit with a basic attack. By increasing the delay, you can do a basic attack after canceling. Before you can do a basic attack after canceling Right's Judgment, survivor gets a small window to avoid an attack, similar to Huntress or Demo. Which makes sense. But like Demo, I feel like Demo can do a pretty similar thing. Like they say, like similar to Huntress or Demo, but Demo, every time you ready for power and then put it back down, I don't really feel like you get punished for it. Huntress, yeah, you pull out a hatchet and then put it back, but Demo is pretty fast with it. All right. Decrease the delay after attacking. Missing an attack with punishment can be very punishing. Oh, the irony, the cooldown after attacking is fairly long, gives the survivor much time to gain distance. By lowering the cooldown, you'll be able to use your power more liberally without having it backfire and miss. Which is this change I'm very happy about, because that is one of the problems. I'm somebody that likes to constantly use my power. I go for a lot of prediction hits. I try to get hits that I don't even know where the survivor is visually, but I'm guessing where they are. And so I really like this. It's gonna make it to where you can attack with your power, and you won't be stuck in animation for like 5 seconds. So that's good. So that's some pretty good changes. I'm curious to see like how long the delay is and how little the cooldown is. Of course, these are all numbers. These are interesting on paper, but we're gonna have to get on the P2B and see how it actually is. And then they said that they're going to be changing a bunch of perks, which is also interesting. They're going to be changing some perks from PP Head. Trail of Torment, we aired on the side of caution when releasing this perk. If the killer is undetectable too often, it can be overwhelming and overshadow actual stealth killers. After watching it play out, we're comfortable with giving it a buff. The undetectable status effect will now remain active until the mark generator stops regressing or until a survivor is put into the dying state by any means. That is really nutty. I I I kind of feel like they're not going to go through with this, because that's crazy nutty. This creates an interesting dynamic where the survivors need to stop the generator from regressing to remove the undetectable. That's really nutty. Because it's not even like when you hit a survivor; it's when you put somebody into dying. And so this is crazy for two reasons. One, you can just keep on ping ponging as long as they don't touch the gen, and you'll just have no terror radius, and you'll just be able to go from like gen to gen hitting people until somebody gets downed, and then of course you get your terror radius back. But I believe undetectable also gets rid of your red stain, and so until you down that person, you don't have a red stain. And so this is going to be, you're essentially playing like Ghostface until they touch the gen. And so this is a very interesting perk. It's very interesting. But of course, like alert would counter this, but not too many people use alert. But still, I don't know. I'm very curious to see how this plays out. This is definitely a perk that is it's a bit niche, but it's like strong niche. So I'm interested. Right, and then his other perks, Force Penance, has some interesting applications, but the duration. Actually, before I go on, imagine Trail of Torment. Oh my god, I'm just thinking about it. Thinking about it even more. Imagine Trail of Torment, but with like Michael Myers. Like you get a tier 3 Myers, and he just pulls up on a gen, and let's get him like disco dance, or like he knows that somebody's there, and he tier 3s them and downs them, or even like a ghost face. Like whereas like ghost face has a normal power, but you wouldn't have to worry about like crossing like an open field, like getting revealed. Or like Billy would be really nasty with their Leatherface. Oh my, like any insta down killer is gonna benefit a lot from this ability. M1 killers not so much, but insta down killers, it's gonna be crazy. All right, anyways, Forced Penance. Forced Penance has some interesting applications, but the duration seems a bit low to get used out of the broken effect. We're increasing the duration of the broken effect by 20 seconds across all tiers. I think it's a minute. I think it's already a minute, so they're gonna make it like 80 seconds. So that's okay. And of course, if you don't know what this is, it's when somebody takes like a body block, then they become broken. They can't heal back up for a certain amount of time. And so like this isn't like seen that much in games just because this is a bit of a niche perk because if the survivors are never altruistic, if they're never taking body blocks, then you don't get any use out of it. And perks that are occasionally useful are usually not good to run as a killer. You want to have perks that are like consistently useful. All right. And then we got Blood Pact. Blood Pact's haste effect is nice to have, but it did not last enough to see much use. We're scrapping the duration for the haste effect and instead making it last indefinitely until two survivors are no longer within 16 meters of each other. And I believe that Blood Pact is when two survivors heal up, uh, after they get done healing, they get a little bit of a haste effect, and the person that has Blood Pact is able to see the killer. I believe that's what the perk is. And so that's interesting. It's meant for like if the killer is coming, you can heal and then be able to break off so the killer can't get any like extra pressure because you guys are stacking up. It's interesting. But I don't know if people are gonna run it more often. It's a nice little buff though. All right, and they're doing changes to a bunch of perks, which is very nice to see. This is stuff that I hope that behavior does a lot more often because there's a ton of perks that are like not used that much or that could have like different changes that they just need to do simple changes. A lot of it is just like values. They just change like the duration of things or cooldowns. Like any means necessary. They're reducing the cooldown to 60 seconds, and I believe it used to have like the longest cooldown in the game. And then they're adding a scoring event for resetting a palette, which is nice. So blood points are always nice. And then cruel limits, which cruel limits are any means necessary is when like a survivor can pick up a pallet after somebody throws it down and the killer doesn't break it, if you guys don't know. And then cruel limits. Cruel limits is anytime a gen gets completed, then all the vaults that are close by the gen get blocked, except for pallet vaults. Like if a pallet's already thrown down. Now cruel limits, they're increasing it to 32 meters from 24, which is an okay change. And so they're buffing it a little bit. I still wish that cruel limits would apply to the killer. I think that'd make a lot more sense if the killer, like whenever a gen pops, every vault within 32 meters of the killer got blocked. I think that'd make a lot more sense. Because like you're sacrificing a perk slot for it, so I feel like it wouldn't be too unbalanced. But of course, we'd probably have to PTB that. All right, and then for the people, at a scoring event for the people, of course, you can transfer your health state over to a survivor that's injured or on the ground. So if you're healthy and there's like a slug on the ground, you can pick them up immediately and you injure yourself. Or if they're injured, you can transfer your health state if you're healthy and make them healthy, and then you're injured. And then you can't heal back up after, for a little while. Mindbreaker, increase the duration of exhausted. That's interesting. Mindbreaker is a bit of a underused perk just because it's a bit laughable, the exhaustion. If you don't know what it is, it's when you're working on a gen. If the gen is below 50% and the killer has Mindbreaker, then you become exhausted. And after you run off the gen, you're still exhausted for a little bit longer. But in a lot of scenarios, if like the person has sprint burst, it actually helps them out because it helps them 99 their sprint burst more often, which 99 sprint burst is really deadly. Because like you can imagine if you get into a chase with somebody and they have a 99 sprint burst, especially because you have Mindbreaker, uh, right as you're about to get to them, they can just walk a little bit and then boost off to the next tile. And it's very detrimental. So I'm very curious to see how increased the duration is of the exhaustion when you get off of gen. All right. And then slippery meat, they're changing the slippery meat, making it to where it doesn't affect bear traps. Slight buff to trapper, but of course, like nobody really uses slippery meat, so it's not really that big of a buff. And then they made it to where it increased your chance to self unhook, which interesting. I don't know why you would run this as opposed to deliverance, but like I don't there's it's this one and it's not Ace in your hole. Up the ante. Up the ante. Like, I don't know why you would run this and up the ante instead of just Deliverance. I don't know. But it's interesting nonetheless. All right, and then Thanatophobia. They're removing the heal speed penalty. So if you don't know what Thanatophobia does, every time you injure a survivor, there's a small penalty to all actions currently. So if they try to heal, or if they try to do a gen, or if they yeah, just healing and doing gens really. If they try to heal or do gens, then they are slowed down in doing that for every injured survivor, and it stacks the more injured survivors are. But now they're making it to where it doesn't affect healing; it only affects gens. I believe. I don't think it affects anything else. Yeah. Uh, so they're making it to where thanatophobia is easier to counter, but they increase the penalty on other actions. This really depends. This could be a shit perk. If they increased it very substantially, the penalty on other actions might be good. Like that one perk, Desperate Measures, I believe it's called, where survivors they get like a 14% stacking effect for every injured survivor where they heal faster. If thanatophobia was like that as well, or maybe not that crazy, but if it was like similar power, then it may be good. But otherwise, I don't know. It really depends on the numbers, and that's a lot of things. It really depends on the numbers. But this is one that we'll have to wait and see. It could be good, could be terrible. I really don't know. It really depends. No, We're Gonna Live Forever is getting some love. They added new ways to get tokens and increase the healing speed when healing a dying survivor. So this is somebody that's on the ground slugged. And they said that they want to try to make it like BBQ and chili to where it has an additional effect. So that's good for like if the killer is like slugging all of your survivors and you're just trying to get people up off the ground. It's a good perk to have, and then you also get blood points for it, so that's nice. And I believe the extra scoring events are the extra events to get tokens. I believe I saw on their Twitter they said it's like pallet saves and flashlight saves. I kind of wish it would be easier than that. I kind of want We're Gonna Live Forever. Like, if they're gonna make it to where you're healing dying survivors is increased, you increase healing speed. I'd hope that you get tokens from that as well, because you might as well. Because killers, you can get 4 stacks of barbecue and chili really easily. So why not give survivors like a really easy way to double their blood points? And yeah, I mean, why not? So I feel like the one of the ways to get tokens should be healing dying survivors, and then it'd be fantastic. And then technician, increase the chance to prevent explosion by 100%. So if you don't know what technician does currently, it has a 50% chance to, if you miss a skill check, to not make a notification. It'll just make the gen rattle a little bit. And now they're making it 100%, but they increase the penalty to missing skill checks. So that's pretty much if you're bad at hitting skill checks and you don't want the killer to like come and hit you, uh, you'll bust up the generator a little bit more, but the killer won't know where you are. So a little bit of give and take. And then Pop Goes the Weasel is getting a nerf. So they're decreasing the perk, the time that the perk stays active from 60 seconds to 45. Initially, it was at 30 seconds when the perk first came out, but then it wasn't used that much because it was such a small time, and so they increased it to 60 seconds. Like they're saying, there's a lot of times where killers can completely end another chase, and so Pop Goes the Weasel pocketed and kick a gen and then kick somebody or and then hook somebody else and kick another gen. And that's super impressive because then in like under a minute, the killer has basically denied half a gen. And if you use Pop like 4 times, then you essentially added another generator's worth of progress into the map. And Pop is super nasty. So it's understandable why they nerf this. I don't think this is going to be too big of a deal. It's going to make it to where you can't pocket your Pop Goes the Weasel as much. I'm going to be a little bit more stressed trying to get it out. But I feel like that's fine. Considering like how much progress Pop Goes the Weasel denies, I feel like it's okay. I feel like this isn't that big of a deal. And then perk rarity simplification. Keeping the theme of the perks a small change, but noteworthy one nonetheless. All perks will now share the same rarities based on their tiers. Currently, tier 3 perks can be either rare or very rare. This can be difficult to find perks that you're looking for since the list is not sorted alphabetically but divided between two rarities. Going forward, it'll be this. So tier 1 is going to be uncommon, and then tier 2 is going to be rare, and then very rare. So this is yellow, green, and purple. So you're not gonna see like Iron Will or We're Gonna Live Forever. Those aren't gonna be green anymore. They're gonna be purple, and which I kind of wish. Like I understand why doing this for simplification purposes, but I kind of wish that like perks had like rarities assigned to them based on how powerful they were or like how often they're seen in like matches. They can do like how often they're seen in matches. So like if I see like Dead Hard in like 30% of matches, then they could make it like a little bit more rare just because like people use it more often and just like based off of that and like every like mid chapter just change it if anything changes. I think that'd be more interesting. And then for the final thing, this is kind of the like the big thing to look at. They're updating Macmillan. They're doing a graphics update like they did with Yamoka and like what they did with Batum. And so this is the top of the Ironworks, as you can see right here, which is pretty nutty. It looks pretty good. This actually looks like a Telltale game, to be honest with you. Uh, oh, this is concept art. This is. I thought this was like a screenshot. I was like, damn, they make it look like a Telltale game. But yeah, this looks really cool. I'm excited for this. I'm really excited for this. This is the suffocation pit, the mine. I just hope that they don't ruin the loops. Macmillan is probably one of my favorite map types, and so I'm a bit concerned. Uh this is a really good concept art. But I'm hoping that they can keep it decent. This is Coal Tower. Wow. This is actually kind of crazy. It looks very different. But yeah, this is Coal Tower right here. But yeah, we'll be able to see the Macmillan changes, and we'll be able to see the perk changes and everything after the PTB releases. I may make a follow-up video showing all the changes to the Macmillan map and saying any of the changes that I see in the PTB, like what I think of them afterwards. But these are just my initial thoughts. I don't think there's really anything to be concerned with in this patch. I think if anything, it's more concerning like what they're going to do with Macmillan, since they may change up the map a little bit, as well as giving it a graphics update. Uh, I don't think the pop nerf is that big of a deal. I don't think Thanatophobia, they could be really shit or kind of decent depending on the values. And then really everything else is okay. We're gonna live forever. That's a good change. Trail of Torment, I think, is gonna be pretty meta with the instant down killers, and the Executioner change. I feel like could be pretty decent, pretty good for using his power because nobody likes it when Executioner like sets down his sword and then picks it back up and just M1s you. Nobody has fun in that scenario. Maybe the Executioner, but it's not fun. You feel like you can't do anything. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. And yeah, bye bye. I'll see you in the next video.